Welcome, I'm Doreen Milano, and welcome to Big Ideas Small Business. Today my guest is Jeff Sandene.
You're tuned into Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen brings energy, focus, and creativity with the most cutting-edge tools and systems needed to grow business, drive profits, and achieve dreams. Ready to rise? Here's your host, Doreen Milano.
Welcome, Jeff Sandene. You are the founder of Business Pros, and we're so excited to understand what it's like building a business networking group from scratch as we recover our economy.
Well, it certainly wasn't easy and wasn't something we planned. We had our first meeting in December of 2019 and had 3 meetings in person. And then the pandemic hit and we had to go virtual. So we had to pivot pretty early in our process.
So as you're talking to small businesses, what are the 2 or 3 really big problems that they have that they're trying to solve today?
The problem solving today, it always seems to come back to people and the hiring and retention of the right people and keeping them there. Last year we did a lot of talking about remote workforces.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And pivots that companies needed to make in terms of bringing the revenue in the door. And what's interesting now is we're finding that businesses are retaining some of the processes that they put in place last year because they work so well and they've actually expanded some of their marketplaces.
That is awesome. So when we are looking at recovering, we're looking at taking the best of what we've learned over the last few months and incorporating it into how we move forward.
Absolutely.
And in going through that process, what are some of the best tips that some of your businesses that you're networking with can give us?
Well, for the Business Pros group is a network of service providers, typically calling on small and medium-sized businesses.
Great.
And what we found as a group is that we were able to conduct things virtually through Zoom that we previously thought had to be done in person. So for members of my group, what that's done is allowed us to expand our marketplace. So our service area is no longer limited to where we can drive to. We can actually take clients anywhere in the country in some cases.
But we're primarily in DFW.
Yes, absolutely.
And as DFW recovers, how do you see Business Pros being part of that recovery?
Well, what we started to do when the pandemic hit, when we pivoted to virtual meetings, we started conducting webinars for business owners. And we did our first one in May last year. And we've done 9 webinars since then. So that's been one way for us to reach out to the community, providing education on different topics that we have members that are subject matter experts in. Our hope this year is for us to turn those into live luncheons where we can actually meet with the business owners in person and deliver our education that way.
So is there a way for a business owner to log into Business Pros and consume some of the previous webinars?
Yes, absolutely. We have a YouTube channel. Our website is businessprosdfw.com. And among the places that website will take you will be our YouTube channel where the 9 webinars are up and available.
What kind of topics are you discussing?
So the first one, we had 2 topics that were manufacturing based because a lot of our group deals with small and medium-sized manufacturing companies. One was on how to come out the other side of the pandemic and what they needed to be doing to keep their companies profitable, perhaps even make them more profitable. And the other one dealt with robotics. Some of our other seminars or webinars included a working from home webinar, a webinar on succession planning for small business owners, how to plan their exit. But we had 9 different topics in total.
Interesting. And how well received has been this shift that you've had to do?
We had a lot of competition on webinars last year.
I bet you did.
We probably averaged somewhere around 40 or 50 attendees to our webinars. So it was a decent.
That's decent.
It was a decent turnout.
So how are you looking at bringing Business Pros moving forward?
Well, my ideal for Business Pros is for each of our members, and we have 30 members, to be out there on the lookout for opportunities for the other members to be referred into companies. So for example, if I'm meeting with a business owner, my first question may not be about financial services. I might ask him, what's the issue that you're dealing with right now? And explain to him that I have a network, and it's not just Business Pros. I mean, it's an expansive network here in Dallas, where if I can start helping the business owner solve the problem that's right in front of them, hopefully they'll see there's some value added, and we can develop a working relationship in that manner.
Are you still firmly planted in the tech side of DFW?
One of my vertical markets is technology. I also have tried to establish, and in the process of establishing, a tech vertical market in manufacturing. But otherwise, I'm pretty industry agnostic in terms of what I actually do.
Which is great.
Yep.
So as we move forward as a community, business community, what are the things that we need to be paying attention to?
I think there's going to be aspects of managing a workforce that are going to continue to be important. This is where the people side of businesses come in.
Yeah.
And I believe that virtual working is here. It's going to be something that's here to stay.
I agree with you.
People are going back to the offices now, but there's going to be an element of permanence to working remotely. And I think what that does is it creates a more mobile workforce. Your employees could end up leaving and taking a job someplace else without having to move there, but it also opens up the opportunity for employers to hire people that aren't necessarily here either. So it opens up the marketplace for both sides of the equation, and
Absolutely.
I think businesses have to be aware of that.
Now, how are the local businesses solving the problem of engagement? Engagement is a big deal in any kind of business. Employee engagement, consumer engagement. How are people actually solving the problem of engagement?
I think there's a lot of talk about Zoom fatigue and people being tired of being on Zoom all day long, but there's ways to make that fun to keep people engaged. It doesn't have to be all business all the time, which I've found that you sort of, on a Zoom call, you get right to the heart of the matter and deal with your issues. I think it's important, to the extent that there's still a need to do teleconferencing, to add some fun to it. Mm-hmm. And also, if you've got a hybrid meeting where some people are in person and some people are virtual, you have to remember not to forget the people that are on video.
Absolutely. It's really important not to forget the people that are on video. And there are a lot of people, when I attend Zoom meetings, that are on video, but they don't have anything to say. And you can actually tell they're taking phone calls, they're typing emails, they're doing other things than being a participant in the actual call. How are you really engaging those individuals?
I think you're talking about employees, like an internal meeting of you really have to make it interactive. I mean, you can't get on a virtual call and just be directive. I mean, you have to make it interactive, ask people's opinions, make them fill out polls, just whatever it takes to get them involved in the conversation and having an input, which I think if you do it right, really allows them to feel like they're being listened to also.
Great. Now we're going to be right back with more information and learning more about Jeff Sandene and Business Pros.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? Or spending late nights and covering deep government corruption? Does it mean persevering over 20 years, even after 4 masked men set one of our printing presses on fire last year? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. We'll custom price and build a contract around your business requirements, not around the supplier's preferred way of doing things. We go and do a custom price based on your energy usage profile. And in our business, we can help any commercial business owner regardless of the size of their company. If you're paying $100 for your electricity per month or you're paying $1 million, we're able to help you get a better price based on who you are. Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. Texas is very proud to have been able to shut down 9 coal-fired power plants in the last 2 years and replace that production with clean burning renewable energy. 85% of the electricity in the grid for Texas is used on commercial. We're here to help those 85% reduce their costs as much as possible.
Welcome back to Big Ideas Small Business. I'm talking with Jeff Sandene. And Jeff, I want you to know something. When I was networking, and I networked all over DFW, I went to all kinds of groups, because when I moved here in 2016, I didn't know anybody. And I figured, coming from California where I networked all the time, networking was the way to know people. And I was so surprised at how many groups I walked into, and it was dead. People were not engaged. They didn't care to know anybody else. They were not sharing about who they were. They were just giving their standard line about their business. And then when the time was up, they walked out the door. So tell me what the impetus was about creating Business Pros.
I was right there with you, Doreen. I had let my network here in Dallas grow stagnant. So in 2017 or so, I was out hitting DFW and meeting 100 people a month and trying to go a little bit of a volume approach where the more people you know, you never know where the good is going to come back in.
Oh, this is true.
And I tried a lot of different groups, and what I realized pretty early on is that the people that I am best referral partners are other people that are calling on small businesses.
Yes.
And one of the issues with a lot of the other groups out there is they're all encompassing and not all of them are calling on small businesses. So there's not a commonality between the members. It's kind of a network with people who know people and hope that maybe you get some referrals out of the process. As I collected names and business cards of people, I actually put them in folders of the different industries, bankers, attorneys, CPAs, right, and realized that that's maybe a better way to go about this, is look at who the service providers are and try to get them into a group of people that are important to me. So in late 2019, I reached out to 30 different of those industry service providers and invited them to join Business Pros. They were sort of my inner circle of the 2,000 people that I have connected with on LinkedIn. These were the 30 people that had individual categories that I felt like I could be a real networking partner with.
Now I have a question. when I was out doing all this networking, I really found there was a different philosophy in B2B businesses as to their willingness to share their client list with other B2B companies. Do you find that still remains true?
It is, and I think the closer you get as a group, and when you start developing a culture, we go one step further and start looking for opportunities to help other people in the group. So that's what we built in Business Pros.
That's really big. Now, do you have any B2C people in Business Pros, or is it only B2B?
The closest we come to B2C is an estate planning attorney, because many businesses need that. But otherwise, It's all categories that small and medium-sized businesses need.
Awesome. Are you looking to fill more businesses into Business Pros?
Absolutely.
And so what categories are you looking for?
We have an availability for commercial real estate, both office space and industrial. We are looking for an employment law attorney, and there's 5 or 6 other categories. What's interesting, though, is people in categories that weren't even on my original list have appeared to us. It's like, wow, that's really something that we could use in this group, and you're calling on the same market, so come on in. So what I would encourage people to do, if they're interested in our group as becoming a member, they can go out to our website and see which categories are already there, and if they don't find somebody that does what they do, they can contact me.
Well, that's great. So what do you see as the needs of small business or mid-sized business moving forward?
You know, one of the things that I realized in the last couple years is the importance of fractional resources. Mm-hmm. And because there's a lot of small businesses may not have a particular expertise covered inside their company among the people that they have.
So let's explain that a little bit to the audience. The audience may not understand what a fractional resource is.
So fractional resources would be, for example, maybe you have a bookkeeper, but there may be some financial decisions that are more of a chief financial officer type of decision. You don't need somebody like that full time, but there are resources out there where a business can bring in, on a project or an hourly basis to get that expertise. And I think there's fractional resources in just about every category.
This is true.
And I really see that as something that can be more fully utilized.
So when we talk about fractional resources, are there certain fractional resources that you need to have join the group, or are you fleshed out?
We've really got that covered pretty well.
That's
with
awesome.
A lot of top-notch people, yep.
That's great. So if somebody's looking for a fractional resource, you would be the person to call.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you looking for businesses to come and use Business Pros as an actual resource to solve some of their problems?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm trying to communicate in the webinars and the other outreach that I do on social media, is to introduce Business Pros as a resource for small and medium-sized businesses so that they can contact us, take a look at our membership list and see if there's somebody there that might be able
to
help
solve their problem.
Yep.
That is great. Now, do you have human resources?
Yes.
People involved?
We have talent, search, and human resource consulting, and payroll services.
Which is great.
Yeah, I mean, you literally could build a C-suite team just from the people that are members of our group.
So who would be the best kind of business to use your group? Would it be a startup? Or would it be somebody that's been in business a few years?
I would think somebody that's been in business for a while would be better, because they've got the traction that they need and the knowledge of what maybe they're missing and where they can be helped.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas a startup, they need everything, right? And I mean, we certainly have people in our group that can help them, but I think our real core is going to be companies that have a track record.
So maybe a startup that is about 2.5 years old that has some traction,
Yeah.
but needs to grow and get more foundational work underneath
right.
them.
I mean, especially if they haven't staffed up yet, where those fractional resources would come in handy.
That sounds awesome. So is there something else that you're specifically looking for or you see as a need in the DFW business community?
I still think, and I mentioned it earlier, but I think one of the important pieces that businesses can be doing is just getting used to the virtual selling process, because I think that's going to be here to stay. It's certainly still here to some extent, but I also think it's a growth opportunity for many businesses.
I think you're right.
If they can figure out how to expand their marketplace by selling virtually.
So this is a different type of selling than they've done before.
Right.
And they could learn more about that at Business Pros, correct?
They could. We have a sales coach, and a sales executive.
Awesome. We're going to stop for a minute. We'll be right back. We're going to talk to our sponsors.
Strong business has always been the clear economic indicator. Work Suites in Allen, Texas is just one of 18 locations in DFW and Houston that support your necessary transitions with full service and affordable workspaces for upgrading or downsizing your current workload. You need to be focused on growth. Trust the office experts and helpful staff at Work Suites to take care of everything else, from dedicated phone lines and internet to furnished executive and co-working spaces. The OBBM network has tripled our business in the short months we've been with Work Suites and encourages you to step out boldly, make the tough decisions, and get back to work your way. Your nation depends on it. The OBBM network acknowledges that this is a pivotal time in history, and it is clear the United States of America has been undermined by many of our elected officials for some time now. We want our local business audience to stand strong in the face of what we now understand, and to be empowered to grow our businesses on the local level beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon us. We believe it is in our national interest to inspire our communities through strong economic development, and additionally to hold our elected officials accountable for accurate representation of we the people. For that reason, we encourage you to go to WeStandForFreedom.com to learn about the National Write Your Congressman organization that has been the trusted communication tool for local communities for over 60 years. Learn how your representatives are voting. Understand the laws and regulations under consideration on the state and federal level before they are enacted at the county and city levels. Communicate directly with these officials and stand up for yourself, for by doing so, you will protect the communities you serve from tyrannical rule and unconstitutional reforms. The OBBM network is the premier voice for local business, and we take that responsibility seriously. The OBBM network has everything you need to grow and transition your business for success on popular syndicated podcast networks, Roku and other video channels, and the OBBM network app. We work for you, local business, and we've got your back.
Welcome back to Big Ideas Small Business. I'm Doreen Milano, and we're having a conversation today with Mr. Jeff Sandene. And Jeff, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that I've been a business coach for, a long time. And what I've noticed is that there are lots of businesses in and around our area who are hesitant, they're uncertain of how to move forward or if they're even going to move forward. And what I have to say is that you are a great resource, and within that resource, there are so many ways that a business coach can really help you move through this stalemate to get re-engaged and energized about moving forward with your business. I've done this with businesses for a long time. Who are you working with to actually move the bulk of business forward?
It's when you mention that, it brings up something in my head, and that is, entrepreneurs put so much effort into getting their business started and keeping it moving, right?
Yeah.
And if at the end of the day they're not creating some sort of value that can carry on their legacy, I think that's really a shame, because they've really taken a lot of risk and not
Yes.
really built the business, right? And so I think what one of our focuses in Business Pros is to help people turn their job into a real business where it actually has some value, and they'll end up with something that they have to show for.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Now, my expertise is in helping businesses really get re-engaged and looking at what are the things that you need to do today to get movement tomorrow. Now, movement is not just mean you open the door and you do the same old thing. Movement is about growth. It's about prosperity. It's about helping others. It's about giving of your time. It's about a lot of other things that are so important that we bring together as a community as we recover from what we've gone through.
Right. I mean, being a contribution to the community is
Absolutely.
absolutely essential.
That is so incredibly important. So tell our listeners and our viewers how to get a hold of you.
So you can reach Business Pros online at businessprosdfw.com. And I can be reached via email, jeff.sandene@businessprosdfw.com.
And Visions to Excellence is my company, and you can go to my website at v2e.biz. My name is Doreen Milano. You can reach me at doreen@visionstoexcellence.com, all written out. The other thing that you can do is really ask a question. Ask several questions about you and your business before you decide anything. How can I move forward? What makes sense for me? What makes sense for my business? How can this actually be something that helps the community? Stop thinking just about the small box that you have. Think about a much bigger box. It's really about creating a bigger impact, a bigger ask, a bigger why. Thank you so much for listening. Doreen Milano, Visions to Excellence, and we're looking to see you again very soon at Big Ideas Small Business.
This has been Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen Milano solves problems for small and mid-market family-owned businesses and service-based industries. To work with Doreen, go to v2e.biz. For guest and sponsorship information, call 650-483-5798. Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano is produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM Network. For OBBM Network programming information, call 214-714-0495. Unauthorized use of any part of Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano without prior permission through the OBBM Network is strictly prohibited.